Okay, we're going to continue on. Our next committee meeting is Lake Whatcom Reservoir and Natural Resources, and Dan Hamill is the chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Vargas. Joining me today on the committee are Councilmembers Knudsen and Borneman. We have one item before us today. It's for information only. This is a report out from the October 17th Lake Whatcom Policy Group. Lake Whatcom Policy Group had two items before us that day. One was the overview of proposed Whatcom County vacation rental regulations, and this is for, I want to stress, this is for Whatcom County. This is not for Bellingham, City of Bellingham. Whatcom County is in the process. Yeah, this is for Whatcom County. I do have some editorializing I'll be doing towards the end of this here. Be forewarned. Whatcom County is in the process of considering changes to its regulations of bed and breakfasts and vacation rentals. And this is really related to in the watershed vacation rentals. So one vacation rental will be allowed per lot. Vacation rentals will be required to register with the county, and 2 code violations within 12 months will result in revocation of the registration. Owners will self-certify that their property meets health and safety standards. In the Lake Whatcom watershed, establishing a vacation rental or a bed and breakfast will require a conditional use permit, which includes a determination by the hearing examiner that all requirements have been met. Establishing a rental will require a report on the condition of the septic system at the time of application, and again in 3 years for gravity systems and annually for other systems. Owners will also be required to post a notice in the unit regarding the aquatic invasive species threat to the lake and associated requirements for watercraft. Normally, I just read through these reports, but I did want to bring up a couple of concerns before this body, 3 in fact. The septic systems that were designed for these homes were designed for residential use. That means one family using the system on an ongoing basis. And what we know is that vacation rentals have often several families, like on a weekend or for 3 or 4 or 5 days, multiple weekends per month that are impacting this septic system. And while the requirements for inspection, I think, are good, I have a concern about that being discharging into our drinking water supply. The other 2 items were the impacts on the AIS program. It's the Aquatic Invasive Species Program. Many of these rentals have boat launches right there on site, and so the incentive for the renter to take the boat to Blodell Donovan and have that inspected and then bring it back, I think it might be challenging to have that happen on a continuous basis or a regular basis, so I just have some concerns around that. Also, there's no enforcement on Lake Whatcom, so there would be no way for any jurisdiction to enforce the boat that doesn't have the tag or the permit to be on the lake, so that's a consideration. And then the self-certification process of these vacation rentals, who would fail themselves on their own process? So I think that's an issue. I'm glad that the county is working forward, or moving forward rather, to regulate this. I think that's a very responsible piece. But the regulation program that is in Whatcom County affects the drinking water supply for 100,000 people. So I just want to give you my 2 thoughts there. Oops, sorry about that. The second item we had on October 17th was the homeowner incentive program update. This is the kind of the new and improved homeowner incentive program, or the HIP, unofficially known as the HIP replacement program. That's government humor for you there. The city and the county are working together to implement changes to the homeowner incentive program. The county is developing an agreement with the Whatcom Conservation District to fulfill this function. The agreement will go before the district and the county council by mid-November. Assurances for long-term maintenance of the HIP projects are being developed and are under legal review by city and county staff, and the agreement will allow city or county staff to enter a property after proper notice is made to make sure that the established practice or treatment facility is still in place and that any needed maintenance has occurred. I think that was a great requirement that provides for staff to be on site and to take a look at those rain gardens and other facilities on private property. And the county is expecting to contribute about $100,000 to HIP in 2017, and that's a vast improvement over what it has been contributing. The next Lake Whatcom Policy Group meeting will be on November 21st, 3 o'clock at the Fireplace Room, 625 Halleck Street. And I just wanted folks to know the originally scheduled December 19th meeting has been canceled, so that's been moved to November 21st. I don't know if council members Knutson or Borneman have anything to add.
Just a comment, having been there with you that meeting, I agree with most of what you said. It's going to be very well attended when they have that public hearing on this ordinance, because they're having the same kind of conversation we did with rental licensing, but there's going to be a lot of people there. But there are a lot of concerns about that. That's the first initial draft of their proposal, and I'm sure they'll spend hours and hours on it, but I have the same concerns as Mr. Hamill does.
Okay. Council members, any comments? Council member Barker.
Yeah, I attended that meeting, and I thought that was pretty interesting. The constituents brought up a lot of concerns that that before we implement something like this, there needs to be an idea of how we're going to enforce, and there wasn't really questions answered on that. I've been chewing on this whole idea of limiting development in the watershed and some of the unintended consequences, and having a really difficult time in expressing why a bunch of red flags go up for me on that. And this meeting was one of them, that, there's other areas where people have limited development and they become so exclusive that the locals aren't really the ones buying and owning them anymore. And then situations like this arise where you get somebody, one of the people speaking said somebody on their street, none of them were even residents of the U.S. that own these properties and were just renting them out weekly. I'm still chewing on it to figure out how I want to explain my concerns at limiting the development. I understand the reasons why we're doing it, but I think we're going to see a lot of very unintended consequences about the exclusivity of that area.
Any other council members or committee members? Okay, seeing none, end of committee.